Hi, shalom. I want to give a quick content warning for sexual abuse, child abuse, and mentions of suicide. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, quick sidebar, if you haven't watched part 1 and don't know much about cults or cult of personality, you might want to watch that one first. I'll link it down below. I kind of feel like I'm, sort of taking and regurgitating some of the info that's already out there. But as I said, most of my background info for these videos comes from podcasts, and I want all of this to be available for free and for people of all hearing levels. I'm not trying to pretend any of this info is new or my own or anything like that. Okay, so in this video, we'll be discussing the public figure Teal Swan. Teal was born in 1984 in Utah, which has always been a very conservative state, because of the strong Mormon population. Teal's parents were more on the hippie side, and Teal has mentioned that she felt like an outcast when she was a kid. Now, this is not universal for all cult leaders, but lots of them get into bad stuff because they had rough childhoods or felt like they were outcasts for whatever reason. I think the best way to describe Teal's childhood and psyche is chaotic. She's talked openly about experiencing sensations like hearing colors and seeing people's auras and that kind of thing. Now, I am definitely not opposed to the idea of there being more than life to what we can see and prove scientifically. I've experienced some pretty amazing things that can't be easily explained. I'm a practicing Jew, and I consider myself a pretty spiritual person. Several of my loved ones have told me they think I might be an empath, and I'm starting to think there might be some truth to that. But spirituality can go in a ton of different directions, and in Teal's case, things took a really dark turn. So by the time she was in her 20s, she had seen a ton of traditional and alternative mental health practitioners, and she had them completely baffled. She received just about every diagnosis under the sun, and there was some debate as to what was really going on. As someone living with mental health conditions myself, my hunch is that at least one of those diagnoses was correct, and they moved further and further away from addressing that as she got older because she felt like the regular mental health care system couldn't help her. And I can understand that to a degree. Mental health treatment for any condition isn't usually an exact science. It can take trial and error to find the right therapist, psychiatrist, meds, etc. And it can be hard to swing it financially. I get it. But not getting treatment when it's extremely necessary never goes anywhere good. Okay, so we have to stop here for a little history lesson. Teal was born in the 80s, and from the 80s into the 90s, there was this crazy phenomenon called the satanic panic. There's a concept in psychology called memory recovery, which is this idea that if you are prompted by a therapist, you can recover memories you didn't know were there. Now, this is extremely controversial, and reputable practitioners today tread very, very lightly with it. But this concept spread like wildfire during that time, and there were allegedly countless stories of people who believed they were abused in satanic ritual abuse. Really crazy, out there kinds of stuff. By now you may have guessed that the rise of televangelists and megachurches at that time started partly as a response to this phenomenon. This was absolutely insane. There was a ton of propaganda being spread, even by the most mainstream respected public figures like Oprah, for instance. The FBI even got involved. I kid you not. They could not find sufficient evidence to substantiate any of this. Numerous child care producers were wrongly accused of satanic abuse and eventually found innocent. As a former child care worker, this absolutely horrifies me. Someone who loves kids and takes care of them being accused of shit like this and being taken to court over it? Oh, I can't even. Now, I mentioned the satanic panic because Teal alleges that she is a survivor of satanic ritual and sexual abuse. Now, I hesitate to doubt her on the sexual abuse because that is horrifically common. Like I said, the estimate in the US is that 1 in 4 women have been sexually assaulted. So I'm really hesitant to doubt that part of it. But this idea of memory recovery has caused countless children to remember things that didn't actually happen. Teal worked with a therapist named Barbara Snow until well into the 2000s, and Barbara Snow was notorious in Utah for her controversial memory recovery practices. Teal's controversial practices are shaped by all of these things. The problematic thing about her is she has no training as a legitimate mental health practitioner. She has been referred to as a suicide catalyst because her practices have caused people to take their lives. And yet she trains other people to conduct said practices. Teal has been called a narcissist, and I'd have to agree with that. I mean, she has a manager and a PR team. Healthy public figures use their position and resources to help other people. They don't feed off approval because well-adjusted people don't need it. Also, healthy people understand that they have flaws just like everyone else, and they own up when they say or doing something wrong. Teal has not taken responsibility for any of this, and as of the release of this video, she has not been charged with anything. Hulu has a docu-series on Teal called The Deep End. Heavy, heavy trigger warnings for abuse and suicide on that one. There are also several podcasts out there that cover all of this in detail. I'll post all of that below. Originally, I was going to do just a few videos for this series, but there are so many problematic people out there. So I'm going to continue it. And if there's someone you'd like to see featured in the series, by all means, please leave a comment below. Okay, I know this was a really heavy one, so please take care of yourself. Mental health is so important. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out. I'll link resources for the US down below. Please get the help you need. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Lahitraot. Bye.